Oh, hey. Good morning, um, fellow members of the human race, people, peeps, Facebook peeps, YouTube peeps, D all the above. I just want to welcome you to a wonderful Tuesday, November 8th, 2022, uh, midterm elections day. If you do not vote today, you really don't have any, you really give up your right to complain if you get right down to it. When you look at our country and how important the democratic and voting process has been for the last 240 years, 245 years, 246 years. 246 years. Pretty amazing. And before that, before we came around, there really wasn't a democracy. And I probably should have tacked this on to my most recent video. My hair is sticking out, man. The democracy, the democratic process, it's kind of like a test tube. We're kind of like a petri dish. Some of you biologists would really appreciate that. Petri dish. We're kind of an experiment, I would say, and it's not looking too good right now. If people don't come out and vote in the midterms, then I don't think they understand what they're abrogating or what they're giving up. You're giving up your right as a citizen to vote, and the whole whole basis of the Donald Trump campaign began with opposition to our current immigration laws and policies. Understandable. I can understand that. It's like Chris Rock says about O.J. Simpson. Oh, I don't agree, that he was innocent and that he should have been convicted and everything else. But if I'm out running around and I see somebody driving around in my car with my woman and stuff, and he says, well, then I understand. I don't agree, but I understand. So I understand the opposition to immigration. I get it. More than one person I've met that actually are connected to people from the countries that we're having immigration issues with. They're connected sometimes. This one guy that I used to work with, his wife was from Peru. And he was working in Washington, D.C., and I had to be down there on business to help him with the systems that he was working with in the Bell Atlantic in-house system. The whole in-house IT thing, and I was really good at making systems work for me and bringing benefits of the Bell Atlantic portfolio of services and products to the customer in a fair price and in an accurate. Anyway, so I got really good at that. Management realized how good I was, and so they made me a trainer. And so I was down in Washington, D.C. training this account executive on our systems, and I just started, we started talking about ourselves and each other. And I asked him, I said, well, how are things for you? Are you, do you live in the area? Do you have a family? He goes, yeah, I do live in the area, and I have a wife and a couple of children. And I said, oh, great, good. How are they doing? How's that whole thing working out, And he said, well, my wife is from Peru, and so we go to Peru every once in a while to visit her family. And I said, oh. I said, well, then you must be on the side of the immigration law that wants to, relax the standards for immigration. He goes, no, I'm not. I said, you're not? And he goes, no. I said, well, your wife's family is from Peru, and you don't think we should relax or continue to relax immigration standards, protocols? He goes, no. He says, I think we should make it more difficult. More difficult. Right? This is amazing stuff I'm hearing from this guy. So I said, well, why would that be? I mean, I don't understand. You know, you've got this like emotional family connection to Peru, and I'm sure that your wife wants that connection to be strong and good, and wants to see her family. Why would you be against, you know, letting them come to immigrate to our country? He says, because he says if you open the door to those people, he said, and he was not kidding either. He said literally everybody will be flooding into our country. I thought about that and I was like, wow, who is going to pick up that tab? That's a legitimate question. And you know, I've gotten the argument from people on the left that say money shouldn't be considered in a situation where there's human lives involved and that kind of thing. I disagree with that. You know, money being the root of all evil, and it should determine your actions and your you know, convictions and stuff like that. Guess again, money is involved in everyone's life, like it or not, and you become more involved with money when you don't have any. So money's a consideration, and you know, to turn a blind eye to that, or ignore that, or disregard it, or even disagree with it makes no sense at all. So it's what does this mean? It's difficult, man. This is not an easy thing to resolve, and it's not going to be resolved by, you know, being belligerent and throwing accusations and pointing your finger at the other side of the fence. It's just nothing comes out of that except for, you know, conflict and violence. We got to work it out. We got to work it out. And I find, you know, this person that just passed away in my previous video, half of the video was kind of about her. I was talking more about her husband, Louise Epes. You know, she, you know, that her and I don't know about her husband's political views, but and I'm not really sure about her offspring's, you know, like exactly where they stood. And you know, you could talk about it, but if it comes right down to it, and they don't want to talk about it, then they have that right too. I don't have to discuss my political views with anybody, and I don't have to tell anybody who I voted for either. But that being said, I got into a little bit of a heated discussion with Louise once when her and me and my former associate were out to lunch one day at the Downingtown Country Club. I remember this clearly. Louise didn't like, she hated Barack Obama. How can you hate a person like that? Okay, that's beyond me. That's outside of my realm of understanding. I don't, you know, for me to hate somebody, I gotta know them really well. That's the only way I can hate somebody. Anyway, so she's going on about, you know, how he is going to raise taxes and he's going to relax immigration standards and everybody's going to come into the country, you know, because he's letting them in. Well, exactly the opposite was the truth. He deported more aliens, illegal aliens in general, than any other president. He made it a point to, you know, to do that, but it didn't matter. Just like nobody on the left understands that Donald Trump, well, he restricted people from terrorist countries from visiting here. A lot of people on the left said he's a racist for that. That was one of the few things I agreed with him about. I agreed with him on that issue, and I agreed with him about grounding the 737 MAX. Okay, so it doesn't, you know, some people just look beyond the facts and just decide ahead of time they're going to disagree with this person. That's never good. You ought to, you know, hear what they have to say, and then you can agree or disagree, and then, you know, argue your point. So I'm talking to Louise Epes about this, and she gets on her horse and says, you know, Obama is terrible because he's going to raise taxes, and I'm against raising taxes, by the way. I'm a Democrat, but our government has an insatiable lust and thirst and appetite for its citizens' money, and to me, there should be a cap. But okay, that's besides the point. Back to Louise. So finally, I said to her, let's say instead of being born in America, you know, white, born in America, you married an amazing person that basically supported you and your family for his entire life and actually took care of her from the grave for a long time, for 18 years. about 18 years, yeah. His, whatever you want to call it, his stash of cash, or money he saved up, paid for her residing in a very expensive nursing home for 18 years from the grave. Pretty amazing, okay? I think that's unbelievably amazing. Let's say, okay, so she was born white. She got an amazing husband that supported her and his family. He was the only one bringing a paycheck in that household forever. Out of 7 people living in a household, only one person bringing in the paycheck. That's a lot to carry as a burden. I mean, and he did. So she got a good husband, really good husband, and she had a healthy family, basically very healthy family of 5 children, very smart and bright. Wow, the brain power in that family is amazing. So I said, instead of being born like that, let's say instead you were born in La Paz, Bolivia, I think it is the name of the city, or in Peru, or Mexico, some other place where all these people are trying to immigrate to our country. I said, wouldn't you be doing the same thing? Would you want to just spend your life in a hopeless situation? You're not going to change in your lifetime. You're not going to change anything in Mexico, Central or South America, Africa. You're not going to change anything there. And in order for you to have like a half-decent life, you can either stay there and be miserable and live in abject poverty, indefinitely, or you can try to come here. I said, which would you do? And she said, I'd try to come here. Okay, there's the honest assessment of the situation. Her saying that, I wish I could have continued the conversation longer, but she realized, I think she felt like she made a mistake by saying that, and then she got really upset with me. And she wanted to leave. She wanted to get up from the table and go home. She didn't want to sit at the table with me and her daughter anymore. Well, I laughed, but okay. She's passionate, but she's very smart too. And she gave an honest answer to that question. So to all the people out there that are against people trying to immigrate here and against those people, keep in mind, please, that if you were in their place, you'd probably be doing the same thing. I know I would. When I see what's going on in Africa, when I see what's going on in Central and South America, the guy, I think the Brazil candidate for president that was basically a fascist, I think he was defeated. I gotta double check that, because they just had an election in Brazil, and I think he was defeated. And I didn't expect that outcome. And that is one for democracy. Okay, the guy's a total fascist. He's talking about leveling the Amazon, so people could move in there and live there. And if you look at Brazil, my God, the population is bursting at the seams there. But would you, and answer this question honestly to yourself, if you were growing up in one of these places, I look around the world, it's just amazing. And it's difficult enough here in our country. We're not on easy street by any means. And I admire a lot of the right wing, and it would be that sector of that group that has their own businesses. There is nothing easy about having your own business. You want your life to be consumed by something? You're used to a 40-hour week, 45, even a 50-hour week? Try owning your own business. There are no hours of the week, and there are no scheduled vacations. There are no sick days. None. And by the way, if you stay with your own business all the way into your 60s, you're probably going to struggle financially, because your Social Security payout will be very, in most cases, okay, Elon Musk or an MBA or athlete, high-paid athlete. If you're a millionaire, you don't have to worry about that stuff. But if you're like most people and you've done okay in your life, maybe you had a business where you grossed, 80, 90, even 100, 150,000 a year, your Social Security payout's going to be very low. And anybody who wants to know more about that, I'd be glad to, do a little thing on that. So anyway, get out and vote today. I don't care which side of the fence you're on. Get out and vote and understand what you're voting for, and basically where you stand. And I can say this with pretty good confidence, that all the people on the right that are showing this crazy hostility and belligerence towards the left, I'm going to say all you got to do is touch their heart, you know. And I think I touched Louise Epes' heart by posing that question to her, and where she agreed that if she was like in Africa or South or Central America, even Russia, man, there, you know, there's Russian immigrants here too that don't want to be in Russia, and there's a lot more that would like to come here and live the American dream. What's the American dream? Okay, this is the end of my video here. I'll just wrap it up, all right? The American dream, all you have to do is ask immigrants that are going through the naturalization process. In other words, where they actually become an American citizen, and they have to pledge allegiance to the flag. But what's their number one reason for coming here? I'm going to give you 10, 15 seconds to answer that question, okay? 15 seconds, starting now. What do you think the number one reason is for all these immigrants wanting to come to our country? And it's one reason only. 10 seconds. 15 seconds. Okay. Pretty easy to find out. All you do is go to one of these naturalization ceremonies, and then after they're all naturalized and they're in and they're celebrating and they're so happy, just go ask them, hey, what's the number one reason you wanted to come here? And every single one says the same thing: the vote, the private vote. In other words, you don't know how I voted, and I don't have to tell you. I mean, I will. My daughter squeezed it out of me last time. But I'll give you a clue. I didn't vote for Joe Biden, and I didn't vote for Donald Trump. I decided I'm going to start voting my conscience. Now, that may not continue today, but yeah, this vote is more important than that one. But I voted my conscience, and I voted for the Green Party, and that's really where I'm going to stand. The environment has got to be good. Well, the Republican Party is not really big on taking care of the environment, and but I wish the Republicans would go back to the platform of lower taxes and smaller government, and the environment too, and environmental, you know, because good environmental policy is also good economic policy. I hope you all get out and vote today, and it's a wonderful thing to vote in a functioning democracy, and the democracy is in trouble. Fascism is on the rise, and I'm hopeful that we can move through that and beyond that together. Peace.